If AI optimizes everything, why does nothing feel stable anymore? We were told this was the future. Smarter systems, better recommendations, algorithms that optimize everything from what you see to what you buy to how you work. So logically, life should feel more stable, more predictable, more under control. But for a lot of people, especially younger ones, it feels like the opposite. Prices change without warning, jobs feel temporary, information is everywhere, but somehow it feels thinner. And even with all this optimization, everything feels fragile. This isn't a story about AI going rogue. It's not about robots replacing humans. It's about a quieter question. What if optimization doesn't create stability, but slowly erodes it? Let's unpack that. We were promised stability. That was the deal. AI would make information clearer, markets more efficient, work more productive, decisions more rational. Optimization was supposed to mean fewer surprises, less waste, less friction. If a system can see more data than any human ever could, then in theory, it should make better choices for companies, for governments, for us. And for a while, it felt true. Search got faster, recommendations got sharper, automation removed obvious inefficiencies. The story was simple. More intelligence in the system means more control in our lives. So when things start to feel unstable, when prices fluctuate, careers feel uncertain, and attention feels scattered, the instinct is to assume something went wrong. A bug, a temporary phase, growing pains. Because if everything is being optimized, instability shouldn't exist. At least, that's what we were told. To understand why that promise breaks down, we need to look at what AI is really doing. AI doesn't understand the world. It simplifies it. It turns messy human behavior into data. Language into patterns. Choices into probabilities. The goal isn't truth, it's prediction. What will you click? What will you accept? What will you tolerate? Optimization means reducing uncertainty inside the system, not necessarily reducing uncertainty in your life. And to do that, the system doesn't model reality as it is, it models reality through proxies. Clicks stand in for interest, engagement stands in for value, time spent stands in for meaning. The system isn't rewarded for understanding why you care. It's rewarded for correctly guessing what you'll do next. So information gets compressed, preferences get inferred, behavior gets nudged. On the surface, everything looks smoother. Faster answers, cleaner interfaces, fewer obvious errors. But underneath, the system isn't asking what's best for you. It's asking what signal can be optimized right now and what behavior can be shaped next. And that difference is where the problem begins. This is where the story flips. Because the problem isn't that AI fails to optimize, it's that it succeeds too precisely in the wrong places. Optimization works locally, it improves one metric at a time. Clicks, engagement, revenue, speed. But stability is not a local metric, it only exists at the system level, over time. A system can be perfectly optimized in every moment and still feel unstable to anyone living inside it. That's because optimization doesn't aim to make things settle, it aims to make them adjust. And when systems adjust in real time, there's no moment where expectations can fully form. Every choice is made on shifting ground. Take prices. Rent doesn't just go up, it fluctuates. Subscriptions quietly adjust terms. A ride that cost one amount yesterday costs something else today. Individually, each change makes sense. The system is reacting exactly as designed. Now look at information. Every feed is personalized. Every search result slightly different. Optimized for relevance, not consistency. You can look something up twice and get two different answers. Not wrong, just unstable. Stability depends on shared reference points, a sense that this is what everyone sees. When reality fragments into personalized versions, certainty becomes private, and trust erodes quietly. Then there's work. Jobs are optimized for flexibility, skills for short-term usefulness, careers broken into tasks and outputs. Work used to be something you became. Now it's something you perform, temporarily. Here's the deeper problem. Optimization removes friction. But friction is what gives systems memory. When everything adjusts instantly, the system forgets as fast as it learns. Past experience stops being reliable. There's no pause, no buffer, no space for stability to settle. So instead of calm, you get responsiveness. Instead of security, adaptability. Instead of stability, motion. Nothing collapses all at once. Nothing obviously fails. But nothing feels dependable either. That's the paradox. Optimization promises control. But at scale, it replaces control with constant adjustment. And living inside constant adjustment doesn't feel like progress. It feels like instability. At some point, it's tempting to believe this instability is accidental. That it's just a phase, that better models or better rules will smooth things out. But what if instability isn't a mistake? What if it's the natural outcome of systems designed to optimize behavior rather than support human lives? Optimized systems don't want you stable. They want you responsive. A stable person plans long term. They commit. A responsive person reacts. They adjust. They adapt in real time. From the system's point of view, responsiveness is better. It produces more data. It's easier to steer. So instability isn't something the system fights. It's something it depends on. Look at how this feels from the inside. When prices shift constantly, you hesitate. You check again. When information reshapes itself every time you search, you rely on whatever shows up first. When work is broken into short-term tasks, you focus on staying relevant. None of this is dramatic. There's no single breaking point. It's a slow erosion. Over time, planning feels risky. Commitment feels naive. So you adapt. You stay flexible. You keep options open. And that adaptation is rewarded. The system works better when you're uncertain. This is how agency thins out. Not because choices disappear, but because choosing becomes exhausting. You're technically free, but every decision comes with hidden volatility. So instead of asking what you want, you ask what's safest right now. That's the trade we made. We gained speed, personalization, efficiency. But we gave up something harder to measure, the ability to stand still long enough to build a life around something stable. And once stability is gone, everything else starts to feel temporary, including you. So where does that leave us? It doesn't mean AI is evil. And it doesn't mean optimization is useless. It means we confused efficiency with stability. For a long time, we treated faster as better, more adaptive as more advanced, more responsive as more intelligent. But stability was never about speed. A stable life isn't one where everything updates instantly. It's one where some things don't update at all, where prices don't change mid-decision, where rules stay consistent long enough to be learned, where effort compounds instead of expiring. Stability is what allows planning to exist. You don't plan because you know the future. You plan because you expect the ground to hold still long enough for your actions to matter. When systems change faster than people can orient themselves, planning turns into guessing. Commitment turns into risk management. And slowly, people stop committing. Stability is also what allows identity to form. You become something by doing it repeatedly, in an environment that doesn't constantly reset the rules. When skills remain valuable long enough, they stop being tactics and start becoming part of who you are. But when everything is optimized for short-term output, identity becomes provisional. You're not becoming a professional, you're staying relevant, and staying relevant is not the same as building a life. This is why limits matter. Not because they slow progress, but because they make progress legible. Friction is not a flaw in human systems. It's how humans know where they stand. Speed tells a system how to react. Limits tell a person what they can rely on. Optimization asks, what can be adjusted right now? Stability asks a different question. What should remain unchanged long enough for meaning to accumulate? That's not a technical question. It's a design choice. And increasingly, it's a human one. So maybe the real challenge isn't how much more we can optimize, it's deciding where optimization should stop, which prices should be fixed, which rules should be slow to change, which parts of life should resist personalization and constant feedback. Because for humans, progress isn't perfect adaptation. It's having the space to commit to a path, an idea, a craft, a version of yourself, without the system constantly nudging you somewhere else. In a world where everything can be optimized by AI, the most stabilizing act may be choosing what not to optimize at all. And before optimizing your next choice, take a moment to notice what already feels steady. A skill you're learning slowly, a direction you don't want to keep second guessing, a version of yourself that doesn't need constant updates. In a world that pushes you to adapt faster, protecting something stable might be the most intentional choice you can make.